Hey y'all, before this episode begins, just wanted to warn you that we had some technical difficulties, but the content with our guest was just so great that we still wanted to include it. So, without further ado,
Hi, I'm Kisa.
and I'm Theo,
Welcome to Finding Your Voice.
a show about speaking your truth and stepping into your power.
Let's get it.
Well, hello. How are
Welcome.
you?
How you doing, Kisa?
I'm doing good. How are you doing,
I'm
Theo?
doing great.
I'm
How was your
excited.
week?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And yours? Oh my God, it's been so incredibly, insanely busy lately.
Yes.
How about you?
I agree. Same, but in a good way.
A very good way.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if any of you feeling like an uptick of activity, that's definitely the energy that's going around in with the stars and and the vibes. So take this opportunity to really jump into your power and your passion,
And don't forget to find
your voice. All right, so that actually brings us to a really exciting thing. We have an amazing guest for our very first ever guest. When Kisa, brought her up an idea, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing because I've, I'm about to meet her now, but she just seems to be all about stepping into your power, and that's what this is all about.
Yes, not just stepping into your power, but woman power. So she inspires me. She's been inspiring me for a long time. So I'm super excited to have her here. It's an honor and a privilege. She is a superwoman, Wonder Woman, all of that in my book. So.
Awesome. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit
Well,
about
yeah. So we today have Angela Marie Hutchinson with us today.
Woo!
And just to give you a little bit of her backstory, she's got over 15 years of experience in the entertainment industry. She's worked for MGM, Warner Brothers. She's worked for the Grammy. She's a filmmaker. She's a speaker. She has a new book out called Create Your Own Yes. And I'm excited to have her here today to talk about that.
or create your yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Create Your Yes.
Oh my God, I would be correcting you all day.
All day. And day before yesterday too.
Yes, I'm like, girl, create your yes. Create your yes.
That's why she's my partner here. She gets it right.
We definitely help each other out.
Yes, thank God.
So she's done a lot more than just that. So many things. So we're gonna give her a chance to tell us a little bit about that because the list just goes on and on.
It really does.
So without further ado, is that the saying?
That's the thing. Without further ado,
please welcome the wonderful, the strong, the amazing Miss Angela Hutchinson.
Hey!
Hey, ladies, how are you?
Good. How are you?
We are great.
You look gorgeous.
Listen, thank you. I need to record this intro for my husband so I can hit play. Do you hear that? So, a reminder.
Yeah. Anytime, girl. If
My children.
That's right. They need to be reminded.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mamas never get the full recognition. I mean, I'm not a mom, but now I feel bad. Oh man, I should appreciate my mom a lot more. Oh my gosh, you're a mom to what? 5 kids?
No, I made that
3.
up.
See,
I made that up. Yeah.
Don't add on anymore. It's 3 not enough.
that is more than enough.
3 kids, but maybe when I've seen you, because our boys went to the same school together, it just seemed like there were a lot of kids one's on your hip, one's walking in front of you, then another one's over here.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, oh, she's got 10 kids, everybody. And then she does this too.
Which is, even with 3 kids, that's crazy.
Completely outnumbered. Me and my husband are outnumbered. Once you have 3, after 2, you're just okay,
Oh my goodness. So tell us, how do you manage it all?
It's very tough, and I think you just learn. I just keep learning. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly evolving. The minute I think I got this, I'm like, oh, now I have a teenager. Now I don't have this.
Yeah. Or you're probably constantly having to readjust and move things around and
constantly having
flows,
and finding a new flow every time. It's okay, everything is going, then it's okay, this is the new flow. And then with the pandemic, that was a whole new another flow,
Oh my God. Who are you telling?
24/7. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
Angela, tell us, because we know you've been in the industry for 15 years, probably even longer than that, probably. But
Yeah, about 20 years. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I always
yeah,
keep it like 15 because I'm like, I don't want people to try to count to my age.
right. See, girl, you look
Exactly.
good. You're good. She looks amazing.
Your skin looks amazing.
Okay, so you have to tell us how did you get started? What inspired you?
Mhm.
What was the first moment where you knew that you wanted to step into this world?
You know what? I think right when I finished, so it's funny because I went to school for engineering. So
Mhm.
something totally different than what I'm doing
Oh
today.
wow.
And right when I finished college, I was in Blockbuster. Now I'm aging myself. Here I go.
Whoa, Blockbuster! Does everyone remember Blockbuster? I think there's the last one's like in Oregon or something. There's still
Yes.
one open.
Oh, we should go there. That would be fun.
Yeah.
So did you know anything about the entertainment industry? Like you hear the horror stories. So when you just came out here, you just dived into it with
I
no type of
I didn't have any knowledge. There was no, like, all I knew was like the movies we see on, like, and that's it, television and movies. Just, but there was no insight. I know no one in the business. I didn't even know anyone in LA. So when I moved here, I literally drove cross country 24 hours straight, like drove by myself, and then slept at a hotel, drove the last 10 hours. I had a sublet for like a summer, and I never had to go back home. I just like got a job, got temp work, and just kind of figured out how to navigate the business, and just never looked back. Yeah.
Well, that takes so much courage.
jeez.
A
It
lot of,
really, really does.
especially
And
on your own,
yeah,
just do it by
exactly.
yourself.
Exactly. That you gotta be brave, courageous, and really
Jeez.
believe in your dreams to
Yeah.
make that kind of move. And I totally get it because I moved here too, and it was like I had
Mhm.
not very much money in my bank account, and slept on a friend's couch for a month and a half. Thank you, Nadia. And so I mean, I had 1% at least, but yeah, it takes guts, and not everyone's going to understand it sometimes, when you make those kind
Totally.
of moves. So tell us about times in the last 15 or so years that you've been in the industry, times where you had to really dig deep and find the courage to use your voice.
Yeah. I mean, that's on the daily. That's literally
Yeah.
on the daily where I'm having to use my voice and having to
Mhm.
find my voice, having to rediscover it for the moment in time in which not just I'm in, but like the world is in, because I always
Mhm.
want to be someone who's creating content that's relevant
Right.
for, society right now, or when it will actually come out, or that kind of things. So I'm trying to think. I mean, there's so many different, times that I've had to kind of find um, the voice inside of me. And one of the ways
Mhm.
I've learned to do that as a writer is really trying to just understand how I communicate, and learning
Yeah.
how I communicate with just like friends and family. And then through learning how I communicate, also trying to understand what emotion that other people, or that I'm evoking in other people when I'm communicating with them. So
Mhm.
doing that like over a period of time really helped me to understand like what is a voice, like what is my voice as a
Mhm.
writer,
Mhm.
and being able to kind of hone in on that. And then once I did that, it's crazy because, as you said, you have to be courageous and like know and believing in yourself, and knowing that like
Yeah.
this is what I want to do, this is the content I want to make, and
Mhm.
and then also kind of balancing that with like what's commercially viable.
Mhm.
'Cause
Mhm.
you can pursue your passion, but at the end of the day, your passion doesn't always, it doesn't always mean profit right up front.
Oh,
Like we're not,
definitely not for a long time.
yeah, passion doesn't always pay the bills. I always say, you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
no,
you
yeah.
know, so so that, like, that's the reality of it.
So I gotta ask you, as a woman of color
Mhm.
getting into the industry, were there times where you felt like you were being blocked, and or
Yeah.
yeah, mhm,
I
mhm. And
mean,
how did you get past that?
yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I think that my parents instilled in me was to not focus on the fact, like, know who I am, know that I'm a black
Yeah.
woman, and be proud
Mhm.
about that. But don't let it try to hinder you from whatever it
Mhm.
is you need to go and do. So for me, if I wasn't ever getting something, or I wasn't getting a job, and I feel like I was getting pushed back, like in the back of my mind, I might have been thinking, I wonder if it's because I'm a woman, or I wonder if it's because I'm a Black woman. But then I would just kind of shut it down and be like, that doesn't matter. How do I get this goal? Like, how do I achieve this goal that I'm trying to go after? I think one of the things that early on was a little bit more like, you hear the Hollywood stories and everything, but one of the things that was probably the most shocking for me was just like the grittiness of Hollywood. Just, right, Keith, as we talked about it,
Yeah, because if you know nothing about it, I'm only imagining what that had to be like for you,
A shock.
with no kind of history, and then you are confronted with the real deal Hollywood, and how you dealt with that, and what happened to your mindset. Did anything shift at that moment where, maybe you were green coming into it, now your eyes are kind of like, oh, wait a second, like what? How did you deal with that?
wide open. There was a celebrity actress who had a production company at the time, and I remember her creative exec had read my script and had a meeting with me and was like, I want to talk about your script. So I came in all excited and like, oh my gosh, I'm like driving up to this like production company. This is crazy. And I have the meeting. And I'm just so thrilled. And he's like talking to me kind of like we're dating. Like it was less like, it was,
No.
you know what I mean? It wasn't like an interview. It was just very much like we're kicking. I thought, well, maybe he's just trying to get to know me and just trying to just, like, you want to be comfortable with who you work with. But then it was just like steering a little. He's like, so are you dating? And I'm like, wait a minute, we're going a little off topic from the script here. What does me dating have to do with, at the time, I can't remember if I was engaged or not. I can't remember. But I remember him saying to me, he was like, well, we're very interested in your script. And if, you would like to, we will buy it if you would be willing to, and I was just like, like, do you want to finish that? He's like, well, if you're willing to put out, we're willing to put up the money for it, and I'm like, put out
what? Wow.
wait,
Wow. Wow.
So the reality in that moment, I was just like, oh my goodness. And I was just like, oh no, I'm not, he's like, that's what they all say, give it some time, think about it. And he was like, even my boss had to do things to get ahead. So just think about it. And that was like my first, very early on, awakening to, this is Hollywood.
Well, I have to ask you, because as a songwriter, for me, when something happens to me like that, I get inspired to write a song about it. I'm like, well, maybe I'm not going to say anything, but I'm putting that in a song. Or when I write my book, I'm putting that in my book.
Yeah.
So, you'd invited me to be a speaker for your documentary, Hush, which I thought was like so on the edge at the time, because this is before people were really kind of coming out and talking about, experiences that they've had, not just in the entertainment business, but women in general, whether it's the workforce or what have you. So I have to ask you, was that incident something that actually kind of stuck in your head and you said, you know what? I'm going to write about this and I'm going to put this to use and I'm going to make my money and I'm going to show them. Is that what? Or I'm just like excited that you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely something that stuck with me. I have a journal. I journal a lot, so it was definitely a memory. I didn't even need to journal about it because it was so distinct. It's one of those things that just stick with you. Like, I remember the details. Like, I can visualize that moment so clearly because it was the first moment. And since then, I've had tons of others, but that one was just like, I wasn't ready for it.
The first one, yeah.
And also for me, because a lot of the stuff you hear about, like, because the documentary I did, Hush, which stands for Hollywood's Uncovered Sexual Harassment, that was before Me Too came. But even when we think about that, it was always about actresses. It was always about actors. So I never even thought about it from the perspective of writers. I didn't even think that existed for a writer. I just thought that's a thing that like actors go through, maybe music artists. But beyond that, I didn't think a writer or director would ever have to experience anything like that. That just was not on my radar. But yeah, I absolutely was like, okay, And when I started to talk to people and share their stories, I realized that I wasn't alone. Clearly, if he tried that on me the first time, he'd done this many times before, right?
Exactly. And then it was just like a wave after you released the documentary. It was a wave of people just speaking up, and then you're seeing people go to prison for things that they did like 30 years, prior. But, for me growing up in the industry, you knew not to speak of things that took place that you may have witnessed or experienced, you were told don't talk about it or else you'll be
Mhm.
blackballed in the industry. And
Yeah.
so moving forward, I know for us, one of the reasons why we wanted to do this show was to eliminate that altogether and kind of change the dynamic of the industry. It's evolving as far as I'm concerned, but for you, like, I just thought you were one of the most courageous women that I ever met to step out at that time and write and produce something like that,
Yeah.
And then you're just so versatile. So since then, I mean, wrote a Christmas special that aired, I think, in January, I believe,
Yeah.
on OWN,
Yeah.
starring
And
Vivica
yeah.
Fox and all these. Tell us a little bit about that.
That was just like the most magical opportunity, to be able to do. And one, it's on the Oprah Winfrey Network, so that's like, okay,
Woo!
right, incredible.
Yeah, can we just stop for applause? Can we just stop
For a minute.
You get it, girl. Yes, yes.
And so I got hired to do that. I had met a producer because I had moderated an event, and I'm a really big believer on networking. And so I was doing my due diligence, networking, participating in this event, and stayed in touch. And he ended up bringing me on. He said he had a writing assignment and asked me if I was interested. And I sent him over my writing sample because I really love Christmas movies. Like, I truly am like Christmas queen. Like, I watch all those.
Okay, what's your favorite? What's your favorite?
Oh my god.
Okay, top three.
Okay, everything royal. Like all the royal, like
Oh, okay.
Wait,
royal.
I thought you were gonna say the elf. It's not the elf.
No, but you know what? My husband loves the elf.
Yeah.
And he loves that movie.
It's so funny. I love it. I
It's
love
one of
it.
my favorites.
No, I love literally all of those. Oh goodness, I like The Perfect Holiday with Queen Latifah. I thought that was a
Oh,
really,
that was a good one.
That was a good one.
a really fun story. I just love so many. Like, I can just go on and on. I love literally every Christmas movie. I mean, my favorite Christmas movie of all time is Miracle on 34th Street. Like, old
school.
From way, yes.
old
Yes.
school. But I love them all. It's just something about the spirit of Christmas, and just brings together family and stuff. So, like, I happen to have a Christmas writing spec, a Christmas movie, and he read it, and then his producing partner read it, and they hired me. Now the tricky thing is, this happened. I got hired right before the pandemic happened, and so I was so nervous that they weren't. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is. Am I not gonna be able to do this? They were like, no, we're still going full force.
Wow.
Script to still do when it's due. And I was like, okay. But it was very crazy writing a happy movie during the pandemic. I mean, I was
Oh my gosh.
and like, I remember being in tears, like, I can't do this. Literally, it was like fires outside, and I'm like trying to be like, oh, like, they have more cocoa, and I'm trying to bounce between reality of the world
Yeah.
and trying to escape in some like magical Christmas story. And it was really a challenge to be.
So you guys actually shot that during the pandemic?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
In the summer, they shot it like shortly after that. I got messages, text messages, and pictures of them on set during the winter, and like right before, like a month before it was supposed to air, and I was like, this is insane.
That was at the height of it. That's
insane. And then also being home with the kids. Oh my goodness, like trying to write, because writing is a process. I mean, everybody's writing is different, but for me, like, once I get into it, I have to like be in that zone, and I have to stay there. And it's not the kind of thing. It's almost part of the reason why I started producing and doing other things, because writing is difficult to do for me. Like jumping in and out of it, whereas like I could be on my phone and produce and do a gazillion things and be like, hey, what do you need, to my kids, and kind of disconnect and go back to what I need. But like writing, I have to block you out. And that's hard to do as a parent. Just be like, I'm not listening.
Right.
Mommy's in the zone, locking doors, and
Yeah.
So it was a challenge, but I got it done. I remember calling my mom, like, I can't do this. And she was like, you're going to do this. You got hired to do it. You're going to do it.
Right.
And think about all the people that you will inspire at the end when it airs during Christmas, after a time when we've all been through this craziness, what it will be for people to just relax and just enjoy a nice, happy Christmas movie. So I was like, okay, that's something to think about, And that helped me push me on through, and it was a great experience to be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, I cannot wait to watch it because I love Christmas movies too. We should watch it. We should have a movie night.
Yes. I actually have seen it. Well, my whole family, because we were home. We were home during the pandemic. Like,
like everybody else.
Oh,
cool.
But so I'm really curious, because I do know you, outside of your work, but I always, excuse me, wanted to ask you, how do you manage being a mother, being a wife of what, 18 years?
Yeah, 18 years we've been married.
18 years, you have a wonderful husband, beautiful family. How do you manage both worlds and, without shortchanging one or the other? Because you mentioned that, you have to tune everything out. So what do you do? What tools could you give us, to really manage our time?
Well, I feel like, first of all, I think they are getting shortchanged. They're all getting shortchanged.
You're like, okay, kids, you're on your own, so go fix your bottle.
That's the reality. No, but you know what? I actually let me tell you what has helped me seriously is I had a dinner once with Tracy Edmonds, who was like, she was doing like a mentorship with like one of my mentors, and so it was like me and two other young women, and she was talking about marriage and family and balancing, and she said she had gotten to a point where she realized there was no such thing as balance. There was no such thing of like everything being like perfectly balanced. Like there's going to be something kind of out of whack. And at the time, this was before I had children. I was just thinking, no, like you just don't know what you're doing. Like, no, there's nothing when you have a balance. Like, do you know God? I mean, He is the source. Like, like in my head, this is just me thinking, no. And then after you have children, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna see what she's talking about now, right? Like, who was I to judge? And sometimes it's so quick to do that. You're so quick to judge people when you haven't really walked in their shoes. And so, for me, I feel like I heard a sermon one time that just said, like, I think it was T.D. Jakes, and he was just basically explaining that the most important thing is just to make sure that when you look at like over the course of your life in like chunks, to make sure that it's balanced in general. Like, so whether it's like every 3 months or 6 months or whatever, by the week, whatever it is, because there are some days where like literally, my husband is like, I haven't talked to you today. You know what I mean? Like there's some times when like one of my littlest one, I didn't read to him, you know what I mean, the night before. Whereas I would love to be reading stories every night, but like it just didn't happen. So the idea of like this vision of how I wanted to be as a mom, like reading stories, cooking meals every day, like all of these things that I wanted to happen, they happen here or there. It's not like an equal, like perfect little, like the vision in my head. So I think just really just making sure that, just making sure I'm happy is how instead of finding out, making sure I'm happy and the people around me, making sure the best I can. I can't be responsible for everybody's happiness, but I can try my best to make sure that I'm doing what I can. And one of the things, the practical things I think that has really helped me sort of, get centered is in the morning. I wake up at 5:20 every morning during the school year, every single day. And that's an hour before my children and my husband get up. And so that allows me that time to just read the Bible, sit, meditate, think, exercise, stretch, do my Taekwondo, yoga, whatever it is, right? And that helps me to just make sure I'm okay. Make sure I'm happy.
You have your centered. You have your me time.
Yeah, that's super important. And I love what you said earlier. Like, it's not your job to please everybody or make sure everyone's happy, right? Yeah. And especially for women, I think, and moms and just women in general, I feel we've been conditioned to believe that it's our job to nurture everybody or cater to everybody, when in fact, no, that is definitely not it. And we need to pour love back into us first so that we can be a more maybe present mom or business partner or creative partner, etc. So
totally, yeah. I recently took a staycation, where I was just like at a hotel here in LA, not too far from our house, nice hotel, and just for the weekend. And I had some work to do for this event I was a part of in the morning. But after that, I was just relaxing, like at the pool. I didn't even watch any TV. I was literally just chilling, just hanging out, just time to self, massage, blah, blah, blah. And just really just sort of getting that me time. And that, I think those mini staycations can be helpful. I was like, ooh, I need to implement a little bit more often. We're gonna
Right. Yes. Oh, speaking of yes. Okay, girl. This is the meat and potatoes. This is the main reason why we brought you on is because of this book that you wrote called Create Your Yes. And you can check it out on createyouryes.com. I actually watched the video of you speaking on a TEDx talk. And that I love that was such a great summary of kind of the things that, the few things that would be helpful for people who are having trouble, with taking that step and allowing that yes to come in. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, it was, that book actually was inspired from the TEDx talk that I had given.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny because like a lot of the projects I've done, I've like thought about them. I'm like, oh, I want to write this book, but like Create Your Yes was never on my list of things to like write about. It just really kind of came. I did the TEDx talk, and I was invited to do that because they were talking about the theme of the TEDx event was breaking barriers. And so they invited me, and I was just trying to think of a topic, that was related to barriers. And I was like, okay, I've broken barriers as a woman, certainly as a Black woman, as a mom, married for 18 years, was a wife. There's barriers there. There's barriers and everything. And then I was like, but what's a barrier that everybody can relate to? And I was like, I was like rejection, because no matter who you are, I've worked with celebrities, no matter who you are getting rejected in one form or another. I mean, it literally doesn't matter who you are. Somebody is saying no to you. Because all things are not for everyone, right. And also giving rejection often, when I get to people like, no, thank you, I don't want that, or whatever, So, so that was sort of like the thought behind the talk. And so I gave the talk, and I had a literary agent at the time, and I shared it with him, and I said, what do you think about this as a book? And he was like, I love it. I love that concept. So I developed it, and we sold the book, and then Source Books, released the book. And then recently, so that was like a year ago, 2 years ago, the book came out, but then Penguin Random House picked it up. So in March of this year, they released the book, the audio version of the book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You made it when you got out of audio.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that, because my mom asked me, because I was talking about your book, and she goes, but does she have an audio version? I said, you know what? I don't know. Now I know you do. Because she goes, I just want to listen to the audio version of her book.
Ask and you shall receive.
There you go.
And the thing about I love it is that it's only like an hour. So it's like a quick listen. It's something that you can just like listen. And it's a quick read too. I mean, it's like a beach book. It's a book you can take to the beach and kind of just, but yeah. And so, and really the whole idea is just kind of like, there's this concept, especially in our industry, that if you keep going after something, that if you keep trying, that eventually your yes will come. And what I have found is that while I love that idea, it's just sometimes not true. And sometimes your yes will literally never, ever come until you create it. These are just facts,
Boom. Boom. Yep. I love that, because that just, oh gosh. I mean, for a long time, I was like, whatever the universe wants for me, I'll flow with that. I'll follow it, But then I was like, wait. I mean, they got my back, but I gotta also believe in myself. Because for my, for me stepping into my power, there are things that I had to do, right? Believe in myself, and that took a long time to find that real, true, authentic, unconditional self-love, and then also really assess the environment and the people that I have around me. Because once I did that, I was like, oh, wow. I was like, oh, dang. It's like, I love these people, but ooh, we are not on the same wavelength, and they bring me down. And that is a big, big part of it right there. So were there times where you had to kind of let go of some relationships and friendships, and that it was hard?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I am like, first of all, you have to do it for many reasons, for your time, because there's literally so much time in the day. And you also have to, going back to the balance, like my weekends, I pretty much don't do like weekends are really for a family. There's sometimes when I have to work because it's just like, for whatever the reason, I've got to do it. I have work to do, but and so I think I've definitely had to make sure that the people that are close to me and around me are on the same wavelength. You know what I mean? There's friends I remember, like, there was a friend that just was not on the same wavelength and just felt that like I was, putting too much into my career and not enough time on the friendship. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. Like,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, like
And,
there's
and
just
true friends will understand when you got to put in the work. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So I
Hmm.
just feel like there's some people you just connect with, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whether they're your close friends or close colleagues, and they just get it.
Hmm.
And so those are the
Yeah.
people that you want to keep in your circle to, and I used to do this on a professional side, I used to do this like tracking board thing where I would put down people who I feel like have done something, contributed to my life in some way, and it could be something minor. Like actually, I was texting a friend this morning about she teaches yoga, and there was this stretch I saw her do on Instagram, and it has literally transformed me. And I was like, "What's the name of that stretch?" Oh my gosh! Like I was like, I do the stretch, literally, like it is so great. Like I feel so great. So
Like
yeah,
show us right now. No, I'm just-
I know, right?
it's like a leg up here, like
No, but you look great because many of us have had to start to rebuild ourselves again since COVID. We were all gaining weight, and you look like you
So
just stepped out like, hey, everybody.
I ended up losing like 20 pounds over the
Wow.
last like 2 years. And so just trying to be, more intentional with,
Mm.
my time and things like that. So, definitely. So like I would track people, like not track them, but like that sounds so psycho. Like I'm tracking. Stop it. But I cut people down who I feel like added value, even if it's something like small, you
Right.
know, and be because sometimes like I'm just so busy, it's hard for me to like be mindful, but I'm a very visual person. So I'm like, these
Hmm.
are people who I really like. These are people who, make me laugh or smile, or I want to be a part of their world. And let me make sure I check in on them and say, hey, how are you doing? And, just keep that
Yeah,
connection. And for those people,
absolutely.
if you're like then it's writing down the people who are negative. And if you're like, you know what, this person, every time I talk to them, I just feel like I'm stressed. I gotta, it's just I'm helping with all the problems. And I don't mind doing that to a
Right.
degree, because that's what friends are. But I'm
Right.
just saying it's to be a point where it's like 24/7. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
Yes.
me.
And
Yeah.
you just don't have that time.
Get to a
Especially
point where
if
you don't.
and especially if you're growing your purpose and your dream and whatnot, it's like you got to be really have a tunnel vision about that,
Yeah.
and not everybody's going to
Have,
understand that. Some
you
people
have
are
to have
going
a vision.
exactly, and some people are going to feel like like you're a friend, like, oh, you don't have enough time for me and blah blah blah. But it's like I have those friends who I don't even talk to for a year. Or I mean, the producer of the show, Ryan, we went to college together,
Hmm.
and we don't even talk that often. And then, but every time we talk, maybe once every few years, it's like,
Hmm.
You pick
bam,
right back
yeah,
up.
yeah, exactly,
That's right.
exactly. And those are dope, like soul friends,
Yeah,
and you respect
absolutely.
each other, admire each other,
Hmm.
support each other. Thank you, Ryan, for helping us with the show. You guys can't see him,
Thank
but
you,
he's
Ryan.
behind the scenes.
So, Angela, I see you going in so many directions in the future. You've already laid like just a path that so many people, just can look at and just respect so much. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years, or where do you really overall want to be with all of this? Because you wear so many hats. Just really quickly, aside from that, I know you do a lot of volunteer work where you're out there and you're a speaker and you're a motivational speaker. You bring a lot of people and to your events and you help them out, including me. And so, where do you see all of this going in the next 10 years? What's your
I
ultimate
mean,
vision?
I don't really think I have an ultimate per se. You know what I mean? I mean, I think that there are some things on my list of things that I'd like to do that I'd certainly like to accomplish. But I think for me is, at a very young age, I really understood what my purpose was. And so, and I keep that near and dear to my heart and just make sure that on a daily or a weekly, monthly, whatever it is, that every project I'm doing, that it's sort of aligned with that purpose and making sure that I'm doing that. So for me, I just feel like in 10 years, I hope that I'm just continuing on that path of, checking those boxes according to what I feel my purpose is. And, I think the thing that really resonates with me and really just gets me excited is when I get emails or text messages or things from people where they feel like something I did that I put
Yeah.
help them,
Hmm.
like that is just so like I remember I had this event and I remember this mom had come with her baby, and she was like so nervous to come in because she had this little baby. And I said, come on in. And she's like, are you sure? Like, and she's like, I just gave like, a couple weeks ago, but I really didn't want to miss this event. And I'm like, come on in, girl. And we ended up having the event. And after, she was like kind of in tears. And I was like, are you okay? And she was like, you do not understand that, like, you literally changed my life, because I feel like I don't have to like decide between being a mom and pursuing this business. And I'm like, that right there is, is part of my dream, is making sure other people can achieve theirs.
That is proof that you are living your purpose.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
I'm getting chills.
This one here, she found her voice.
Yeah, she okay, Angela found her voice and she's using it, and she is
in
very
many ways. Unapologetically, you have been using your voice. And for me, I looked at you like, I don't know if I've ever told you that. I said, she's like the new day Oprah in my book, because Oprah, she did acting. Seriously, she did acting. She did, and like I said, you've been a part of some really big things, heavy hitters. I mean, you even produced and wrote the talk show with Vanessa Simmons.
Yeah.
And, it looks like that's going really, really well for you also. And I just think that you represent that new day Oprah,
And also what's possible.
And that it's possible.
Yeah.
It really is. And you're such an inspiration, to people. And I know that we're going to hear so much about you, I think, forever, actually.
Yeah. And if you're listening, if you don't know, now you know.
Now you know.
So I know, listen. I was listening to that song today, Beyonce song. I was singing that song out loud with my windows down. I know people were like, well, anyway, so for the listeners out there in the audience, like, or if someone is out there who's listening right now and who's maybe scared to take that leap to stepping into their purpose and their power and creating their own yes, what is one thing that you would tell them to help them through?
It's that's a great question. And it's something that I do a lot of talks on creating your own yes. And it's something that comes up a lot is, people feeling either scared to go after it, or they tried it and it didn't work. It didn't go according to their plan. So they're afraid to try again. Or they might be dealing with like a sick parent, or they themselves are fighting cancer, or whatever it is. And I feel like one of the most important things to remember is that your dream is not just about you. And you have to remember that if you're dreaming right, your dream is going to affect someone else. So when you think about, it's not just about you, it's if I don't write that book and put that book out there, there's going to be someone else that can't do what they need to do because I didn't do my part in putting what I did into the universe. So it's so important that we as individuals, do our thing, because someone else can benefit from that thing we do. And that is transformational. That can transform people in so many ways in which we can't possibly think about. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's powerful.
Yep.
That's so powerful.
Well, I think that a lot of people, I mean, that was wonderful, Angela. but I think not a lot of people, some people, when they go for their dreams, it is very just them and thinking of just what they want, instead of what's the greater purpose of this gift that I have. And I feel, at least for me, that when your purpose is driven, is attached to helping others and inspiring others, there's so much more longevity for that as well. And if it comes from a very authentic place, which it really seems like it comes from your soul, deeply within your soul, and people can sense that authenticity too.
And I think it helps your business. People can sense that when a customer, they're not just buying your product because they need it. They're buying into you, into your dream.
Exactly.
They're like, I'm supporting this person. Like, I'll never forget when someone, I have like, a pretty robust email list. And this woman like contributed $1,000 when I was raising money for a film. And I was just like, who is this lady? Because other people, I knew who they were, who were contributing big money. I was like, oh, I know who that is, and I was like, who is this person? So I emailed her and I just said, hi, like, do I know you? Or she was like, no, I just been on your email list for years. And I just really love what you're doing. And I just want to pour into your life. And I'm like, wow, $1,000 into my life and you don't even know me. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
Like, huge thing for someone. And so, so I think people can definitely see people buy into while you're doing what you're doing. And I think that's something that the more you can speak to that, the more you can like communicate why you're doing what you're doing, your business will be more successful. I'll never forget that I had when I kind of learned that lesson, I was like, okay, I'm going to be very intentional about what I'm doing. And so I spent some time to like draft this email, right, on my email list. And I have about like maybe like 10,000 people from the events who have come, people have come to our events or whatever, members. And so I sent out this like email about like why I'm doing what I'm doing, breaking into Hollywood. And so I sent it out. And then all of a sudden, you can have like when people leave your email list, it'll send you a notification. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden I had like these notifications. People were leaving were leaving my email list. And I was like, oh my gosh, wait a minute. I shouldn't have put myself out there like that. Why? Like people, they don't like why I'm doing what I'm doing. Wait. And then in that same day, like as the day progressed, that continued to happen. People were leaving in record numbers compared to like ever before. Like usually maybe one person leaves your email list when we send a blast, like that. But it was like maybe like 10 in like an hour. I was like, this is weird. And then all of a sudden we had members joining. Boom, boom. People were spending, our membership is expensive, like $200 for the year. People were boom, boom, people were joining. And the reason why was because they understood. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Got rid of the fat, got rid of the people who didn't
get it. That's how it is.
Gone. The email list. Okay, great. Thank you. And then we got the people who not just were on the email list, but then wanted to become a part of the organization. So when you really, can communicate effectively why you're doing what you're doing, I think people are more drawn to that. And then like at the end of the day, we do have to make sure we're making money. We have to make sure that we like, sell the shows, do the things. Like we can't just do things just because like we're just trying to serve the world and volunteer everywhere. But at some point you do have to like, you want your dream to be fruitful, but it's just about,
It absolutely
That's
is.
awesome.
Oh my goodness. This has been such a pleasure, Angela.
Wow, Angela.
So nice to meet you. And I just want to thank you on behalf of the universe.
Yes. But before we go, do you have anything coming up that you want to tell anybody about? Do you have any seminars coming up or any book signing?
People can always hop on my email list, breakingintohollywood.org. At the very bottom, you can join the email list. And then I'm on all social media platforms, live with Angela.
Okay. Oh, nice. And then where can they buy your book?
And the book, Create Your Yes, is at all Barnes & Noble. So now that you can get up and go out, you can go to the Barnes & Noble. Or you can that's easier.
Amazon. So Barnes & Noble or Amazon. But, Barnes & Noble is a vibe. Like, I like going to Barnes & Noble and just, like, sitting in there reading books. So I'm going to go and find a book.
Right? It's totally an experience.
It's like the Blockbuster for books. So.
It really is. The one I love the one at the Grove.
Yes,
that's a nice one.
Yes, that's a beautiful one. I'll never forget. My favorite moment in life, like seriously in my career, was going to the Grove bookstore, riding up the elevator, and seeing Create Your Yes right next to Nate Brown, Charlamagne the God. Like I was just like, oh my gosh, this is Malcolm Gladwell. Like this is insane. My book is next to these like amazing authors. This is crazy. I love the Grove.
That's awesome, Angela.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And you guys make sure you check out all her projects because she literally has so many. It's hard to keep track of them all. But if you just go to createyours.com, you can find out more information about Angela, her bio, a lot of things that she's done within the entertainment business. And
we know there's more to come, Angela. So we hope that you'll come back and join us again. Keep us informed on what's new. And let's get our boys together when we can.
Yes, definitely.
So we typically at the end of the show go into a little meditation later, so you can definitely join us and play it later, Angela. Just to get us all right. But yeah, until we see you again, my dear, we cannot wait to see what else you create and how you inspire the rest of the world. So
thank you, Angela.
Welcome and thank you if you've made it this far. Let's all find a comfortable space that we can sit or lay down on, whatever feels good to you. And let's close our eyes. As we get comfortable, let's take a few deep breaths in and out. Let's inhale, filling your body with that good air, and exhaling out your mouth. Inhaling again, and exhaling. And one last big inhale. Now this time exhaling vocally out your mouth. That's great, letting it all out. Hope that felt good. Now we're going to close our eyes and imagine that we are in an emerald green bamboo forest. And we are surrounded by lush, vibrant green trees that are just breathing life into us. And we notice the breeze making the leaves of the bamboo dance in the wind as the wind caresses your skin and breathes life into your body. Notice what it feels like standing on the ground, feeling grounded through your feet and connected to earth, reminding you that you are here and that you are alive. Notice any sounds, any birds chirping, the wind through the trees, the sound of your own breath. Standing here in gratitude for this gift of life we've been given. And as we look ahead, notice a trail that leads up to a green hill that rises above the bamboo forest. Make your way there, enjoying the energy and the healing vibrations of this bamboo forest as you walk past it. As you make your way up to the top of this hill, it reveals an amazing, infinite landscape of mountains that surround you, shooting up toward the sky so incredibly high, with the sun beaming on your face, with a perfect 72 and sunny, warming your whole body. And you notice right in front of you a clear glass case. And inside of it is the one thing that you want to say yes to, but you have either been too scared to, or there have been obstacles in your way, or maybe people have tried to prevent you from saying yes. Whatever that one thing that you really want to say yes to is, imagine it inside that glass case. Now send it love. as you send it love, there's a beautiful beam of golden white light coming from up above, penetrating through Earth's atmosphere all the way down, down, down to your crown, the crown of your head. And as it touches your head, it just magically flows down your face, your ears, your neck and shoulders, your back and your chest, flowing through your stomach and your hips, and enveloping your thighs, your knees and calves, ankles, and flowing through your feet and your toes. Filling any area of your body, your mind, your soul, your energy, your aura field, any areas that need extra love, any pain in your body. Let's send some extra love there right now. Now, with the light still flowing through your body, allow it to also take with it any stagnant energy or any old ways of thinking, any cords that no longer serve you, that are not for you in your highest good, and are not helping you to say yes to this one thing, whatever those things may be. Allow the light to bring it down, 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 flowing through your body all the way through your toes, allowing Earth and that hill that you're standing on to transmute that energy, which means turning that energy, that negative energy, into positive energy. Beautiful. Now, with that light still flowing through you, I want you to put both of your hands up, palms facing the glass case, and the yes. You have the magic now in your hands through this universal love and light to manifest whatever you want. Imagine the light flowing through your body and your arms, through your hands, to that one thing in the glass case, sending it love, energy, healing any of the hurt and pain, anger, stagnant energy blockages that have stopped you from accomplishing this or from stepping into your power, whatever that may be. Allow yourself to say yes to this. Now imagine that it says yes in that glass case. Imagine it says yes. Now take both of your hands and open up the glass case. Grab the yes and grab the thing that you want to manifest. Take it out of the glass case. Bring it toward you and into your heart, accepting the yes. Put your hands on your heart and know that you deserve to receive this abundance, and that you're more than capable of seeing it through when it does arrive. And that you are loved and strong and able to be great. Go ahead and turn back around and walk down the hill, back into the bamboo forest, giving thanks to the sacred space and yourself for saying yes. Have a beautiful day, and I wish you the best.